Welcome, everyone. This is Trey Jadlow. We are here on this fifth day of October in 2015, and my friend Justin and I are once again getting together to talk about some stuff. And we had had a thread that we had engaged in a few days ago, toward the end of the week last week, talking about Aaron and Melissa Klein of the Sweet Cakes by Melissa. They've been ordered to pay $135,000. And are refusing to pay it until their appeal process is over. And Justin feels like they should be paying it, and I think that they should not. Is that right, Justin?
Yeah, if that's what they're being fined, then by law they should pay it.
Yeah, it's not really a fine. It's a damages award by the Bureau of Labor and Industry. Brad Avakian, who's kind of a gay activist official there with the Bureau in Oregon. So my main contention is that that their First Amendment rights have been abrogated, and you think that their First Amendment rights have in no way been infringed. Is that correct to say that?
Yeah, their First Amendment rights don't give them the right to discriminate, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, okay. So you do believe that their rights have been infringed, but they've been justifiably infringed. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't believe they have the right as a business to discriminate, even with the rights that you're granted as an individual via the First Amendment.
Okay, and so, well, first of all, you know that they made cakes for those individuals before, but it's only when they said that they wanted a wedding cake that they said that they couldn't do that. Did you know that?
Yeah, I heard something about that.
Okay, so it wasn't discriminated against the people as people, but as the people attacking the institution of their religious conviction.
Okay.
Okay, so their religious beliefs were being infringed upon, and so they appealed to their First Amendment rights. But you say that right no longer exists. Is that correct?
No, the right in the First Amendment does not give you the right as a business to discriminate. If they wouldn't bake the cake for anybody, then there's no problem. If they're baking a cake and they're like, hey, we don't bake cakes like this at all for anybody under any circumstance, and then there's no discrimination. They're not discriminating.
Okay, so what if a couple came in and they wanted to have a cake baked for their swingers party and they refused? Did they have a right to do that?
What is the cake any different?
Like, yeah, it will say something on it like Bill and Jody's swingers party, and they said I cannot do that. I don't want to participate in that. Would they have a right to do that?
Would they not provide a cake that says congratulations on your swingers party to anybody else?
Anybody who came with anybody who's genetically predisposed towards swinging, they would pre-prejudice against. And if they wanted to party that way.
So even if it's just a cake that doesn't say anything on it?
Well, let's say it did.
Okay. Well, if it says something on it like congratulations on your swingers party, they wouldn't give that cake to anybody else, right? Either.
They would give it. They would be prejudiced against every swinging person who came in and who wanted a cake made for their swingers party.
So if they just came in and ordered a plain cake.
No, I'm saying it says specifically for the swingers party.
Oh, as long as they would deny that cake to anybody for any, then it's not discrimination. They're not discriminating.
Well, they wouldn't deny it to anybody. They would deny it to swingers.
Okay, so if I went in there and said, this isn't actually for a swingers party, but I need you to write congratulations on your swingers party, they would do it?
No, because it would be you would be lying and you're making a cake for a swingers party. I mean, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm so the thing is, the thing is this: if it's just a plain cake, they cannot discriminate based on. And I know you're saying, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm confused or what's going on, but if they would deny writing that to anybody, if they're like, we wouldn't write that for anybody, then there's no discrimination.
I don't understand, because it's the same thing as with the gay marriage thing. I mean, any gay couple that came in there, they were not discriminated against them because their names were Joe Bob and Susie, I don't remember the names, they were discriminating against the institution of gay marriage like they would with a swingers party in the same sense. And you say it's okay for them to refuse the swingers party, but it's not okay for them to do the gay marriage.
No, I didn't say that. I said as long as they are not discriminating with the products that they have, then there's no problem. They're not forced to write anything on there that they wouldn't write for anybody else.
Yeah, but so if they wanted a party, wanted a cake that celebrated specifically the swingers party, and they said we will not do that, you think that they should be forced and have a $135,000 fine, right?
Would they give the same cake to other people?
No, because other people wouldn't ask them to write swingers party on it.
Okay, so what exactly was written on the cake that they refused?
The gay cake, the gay marriage cake,
the homosexual cake.
Well,
having sex with other male cakes.
Okay, so I don't know what was written on it, but I don't understand why that makes a difference.
Because it's only discrimination if you will not provide the same service to somebody.
Anytime you say that I want to do something, you are discriminating against them for any reason. If the guy wanted to have a pedophile party and you discriminated against them, would that be okay? That's a reductio argument there. But I'm not saying homosexuals are pedophiles, but I'm saying if somebody came in and they told them no because of conscience, because it was against their religious conviction, you're saying they're not allowed to do that, but they have First Amendment rights, right?
Well, they're if it's an illegal, if they're going to if they're providing service for something they know is illegal, that's a little bit different, right? But gay marriage is not illegal.
Well, no, that's true, but
if somebody came in and said, "Oh, I'm heading off to a pedophile party," that's an illegal act, and that's not discrimination. That is just not supporting an illegal act.
Okay, let's go back to the swingers party, because that's not illegal.
Okay, so just they wouldn't provide a regular cake.
They would not supply a cake that is specifically designed to celebrate the swingers party.
Okay, so they don't have to write anything on it. They just have to know that it's going to.
No, they do have to write on it. You don't want to deal with this, do you?
No, I do want to deal with it, because the thing is, here's the deal. If they would deny that same cake to anybody else, then it's not discrimination. I mean, that is what discrimination is.
But the very problem is the fact that it's what they're doing with the cake. In other words, you're saying it's okay for them to discriminate against swingers, although you're not really saying that. Maybe it's okay.
No. I'm talking about if they would deny, if they would never under any circumstance say congratulations on your swingers party, regardless of whether it was for a swingers party or not. They're like, hey, we don't do that for anybody. If you don't do it for anybody, it's not discrimination. You're not discriminating.
It's not, but the reason it is about is what the content that's on the cake is against their religious conviction. Do they have the freedom to say no?
What was written on the cake?
Welcome to our swingers party. I mean, just make something up.
As long as they would deny that to anybody, then it's not a problem. It's not discrimination.
Well, they're discriminating against swingers who want to have parties.
Sure, and they would deny that to anybody who came in, right?
No, they were denying it because the cake is to be used for a swingers party.
Okay, so once again, this is just a hypothetical. If I went in there and said, listen, this is not for a swingers party.
I would say you're lying. Why would you do that? I mean, come on, you're being silly.
That's not being silly. It's about discrimination. It's like, would you provide...
Yes, but discrimination is a good thing. Do you agree with that?
No.
No? You don't think they should discriminate against a pedophile?
Are they against an illegal act?
So it's good to discriminate against those who engage in illegal acts, right?
It's okay. I mean, there's the paradox of tolerance, and I know of intolerance. I know we talked about this a bunch, and I brought it up a whole bunch. But intolerating the intolerant is different than just being intolerant in the first place.
Okay, so you agree that being discriminatory is good, can be good, and it can be bad.
I mean, everything is contextual. There's no way to
Excellent.
say.
Yes, I agree with that. So you concede the point that there is a place for discrimination.
against illegal activities, but that's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about
No, generically speaking, is there such a thing as discrimination that is good?
generally speaking, it's all about context. If you're talking about a business being able to discriminate against people on race, creed, religion,
And okay,
sexuality.
all right, you're obfuscating like crazy. Let's go there though. Let's go ahead and
No, I'm
talk
not.
about that.
This is exactly what we're protected against.
Right, right. That's what I want to go to. Let's
Okay.
talk about that. What is the context of being protected against race, religion, and sexual stuff? Give me your justification for that.
So that we can travel freely without worrying about having to go in and being denied service based on things like race, sex,
And
sexuality.
and how do you justify the sanctity of existence that you're imposing upon others?
I don't.
Okay, so you don't have any justification. You just have this silly emotion that life is special, even though it really is not, and you feel like everybody should do what you think they should do because you're bigger in number.
Am I bigger in number?
Indeed, you are. You're saying that we voted this into a law, therefore it's good. Now, if it were against homosexuality, you
I
wouldn't
never
be
said
for
it's
it.
good just because it's a law. I mean, I happen to have reasons why I think not discriminating.
But it's irrational, right? Your reasons are, you don't have any real reasons for it. You just emote it.
I think it's rational, but
Yeah, but you can't give a reason. I mean, you say it's rational, but I say, give me the reason. You say, I have no reason, right?
No, I don't. I have lots of reasons for why I think discriminating against, black people is bad.
Okay, but it's based in the sanctity of human rights, right? It's that humans should have special rights, right?
It's based in a lot of different things that having to do with like a social contract, having to do with.
So what is based of social contract in a what's his name?
Rousseau, who wrote the social contract, or who do you?
Rousseau didn't believe in intrinsic human rights. He believed in the rights of, let's see, every man is born free, but he's everywhere in chains, is what he said. And basically he said man is good at his heart, in his self, but it's society that makes him bad. The problem with that is, and so that construct, without saying there's no checks and balances, and the state becomes the most important thing because you got to make the state right, and human individual rights led to the guillotine and the reign of terror. So you want to look at your view of Rousseauian.
I don't just stick by everything that Rousseau says, but I mean, it was.
But that's what his foundation was. You're saying that you like Rousseau, but Rousseau didn't believe in intrinsic
I never said I
rights.
like Rousseau. I just brought him up as the writer of the social contract.
No, and you like the social contract.
I believe in a form of the social contract. I believe it's a good way.
Maybe a Lockean social contract, possibly.
I like Locke. I like a lot of things about Locke. Yeah.
Okay, the only people that Locke would not tolerate was atheists.
Atheists. Yes, I know.
Why is that? Why do you suppose that is?
Because he was probably indoctrinated as a Christian.
He was he was raised. He was in a Puritan household.
Yeah,
but his problem was that atheism has no meta narrative, has no justification for the sanctity of existence.
Yeah,
this is what founding fathers taught, and this is where the First Amendment came from.
Okay,
that all men are created equal and they have undeniable rights to life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. So what you're doing is you're stealing from the Christian worldview and then denying the justification for the Christian worldview and then imposing it upon others. Do you realize that?
No, I'm not.
Okay, give me your justification.
Because I don't believe intrinsic rights or intrinsic values.
That's right.
Can even exist in the way you think they can exist. There's nothing intrinsic about value. Nothing can be intrinsic value.
That which is purposed is valued because it had to be.
It is only valuable if it is valued by somebody.
That's right.
And
contingent existence necessarily is valued. Otherwise, it would not exist.
It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if there's a God and he values it. That is still his subjective value.
Yes, but he himself is objective in his nature. He's self-existent. Therefore, he's not whimsical.
Objective in nature doesn't make any sense. I don't even know what you mean.
Sure it does. Objective means that it's not subject to change.
I don't know anything that's not subject to change.
Well, how do you have anything if everything is changing? Then there's no essence to anything. Do you agree with that? Again, let's go back to the pre-Socratic, which you say is silly, which you don't even understand.
No, I don't agree with. Probably, I don't agree with what you think about essences of things, and I'm a non-reduction. I mean, I don't reduce things to one thing. It's not like, well, and then this is the final language. This is the final language by which to describe things. I don't play that game.
Yes, but you're using the laws of logic and the laws of reality that objectively exist outside of you in order to justify your view, and it may be changing because you learn more.
They don't objectively exist. They are rules of language.
Yes, but those rules of language cannot contradict. In other words, when you predicate about something, when you make a subject and a predicate, you have to measure the relationship of those two, and it always has to do that. You cannot have a repeating of the subject. A contradiction of the subject and the predicate. You can't say Trey exists never as a statement of reality, because I'm the one making the statement.
I mean, you could say it.
That's objective truth, Justin.
You could say it if you wanted to. Yeah.
But you can't. But you wouldn't accept it, right?
Well, I mean, I think it's useful language. I just don't think that
it's not useful concept, though. It's nonsense.
I don't think it's final language. I don't believe in a final language. So.
Yes, but you're appealing to the law of non-contradiction in order to say that there is nothing that stands.
I like the law of non-contradiction. It's good.
Yes, I know, but you couldn't doubt it, because to doubt it, you'd have to lose all common sense. You could not make any sense of anything. So what you do is you appeal to something that you say doesn't exist in order to say that something doesn't exist, and it's nonsense.
No, I don't. I really don't. I mean, it's.
But you don't reason it. You just emote otherwise.
You emote all sorts of things too. We all emote. That's how it goes. That's what we do.
But I may have emotions about things, but I base everything I do in rational coherence. And I'm saying your worldview is utterly incoherent.
Yes, I understand that you think that.
Yeah, but you haven't demonstrated otherwise.
Well, I believe I have, but it's okay. I mean, I understand that pretty much.
You emote that you did.
Yes, you also like emoting too. I mean, that you like arguments from negative consequence. That is nothing but emoting.
No, it's not, because I have a justification for the existence.
You have a justification that is perfectly suited to you.
No.
That justification does not work for me, and it does not work for a lot of other people.
Yeah, but you don't reason it. See, I reason it, and you don't. You just emote it irrationally and say, I don't want that, so I'm gonna pretend it doesn't exist.
That's not true. I want all sorts of things. I think it would be really cool to know that when we died, we lived on. I would like that. I don't want to be snuffed out of existence. So why would I wish that upon myself? It's just
because in order to accept eternal life, you must bow the knee and admit that you are a sinner and offended a holy God, and you don't want to do that. You'd much as soon go to hell and suffer eternity rather than bow the knee and say, I'm sorry for my sins.
I mean, that's not going to happen, because hell doesn't exist.
Yeah, I know. You've really proved my theology to be completely incoherent, haven't you?
Proved it? No. I mean, there's no proving. I haven't had a mathematical formula that has proved anything.
Well, just Justin Mullinex cannot create himself before it exists. Is that a mathematic reality?
Sure, I think that's a good way to talk about it.
Yeah. So I just proved that you are not self-existent.
Okay.
So God must exist?
No, absolutely not.
How so? How do you justify your existence without the
I don't have to justify my.
You really pretty much conceded the argument. You just hate it.
Why would I have to justify that which is painfully apparent? Existence is.
Yes, but contingent existence is not is.
It is. It's happening right now.
It is, but you got to justify it, because it didn't happen itself before it existed, right?
I never said it did.
Then how do you justify it?
Justify what? Existence?
Contingent existence. Yeah.
How do I justify existence is? That's my starting point. What other justification do you need?
Because if you're going to give as a foundation a law of non-contradiction, and you say contingent existence is, and at your starting point you got to say no. The law of non-contradiction says something got to be and not be at the same time, same relationship. So you need to give a justification.
I mean, there's forms of logic that completely deny that and get work done too.
Like what?
What's it called? I can't pronounce it now. Let me see real quick. Dialectism or something like that. I was just looking at it the other day. Dialectism, maybe is how you pronounce it. The view that some statements can be both true and false simultaneously. More precisely, it is the belief that there can be a true statement whose negation is also true. Such statements are called true contradictions.
Right.
And, I mean,
and what do you employ in order to make that statement? How do we know that it's coherent? Do you employ the law of non-contradiction to say the law of non-contradiction doesn't hold?
Well,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. It's something that
Some really smart people said, so I believe it.
no, I never said I believe it. I just said there's people that are able to make progress
By embracing contradiction.
Well, they don't agree with you. You know, I mean, that's all there is. They don't believe in the absolutism that you and the objective existence.
And do they rely on the law of non-contradiction in order to say that my view of absolutism is incorrect?
Apparently not.
Yeah. So they just didn't say anything. Do you understand that? You cannot rely on that which you say does not exist in order to prove that which exists, that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you rely on God and he doesn't exist.
How did you demonstrate that?
Why would I have to demonstrate it? There's no sign anywhere.
There is you. You exist, Justin. You know it.
Okay,
I mean, we go around and around with this.
I start with existence is. That's it.
Contingent existence is.
Existence is.
And your existence is contingent.
I don't say me. I mean, I from my experience, it's useful for me to talk about me as a separate thing than other things. But there could be experience out there that has no use for that language. And so what do I tell them? That I am me? When they look at it, they see a bunch of atoms and molecules, and all of a sudden they're supposed to be like, oh, well, that's Justin. I mean, that's not a useful language. It's all contextual. It's all has to do with your own personal subjective experience. And there is a possible world where another subjective experience cannot experience me as me, and therefore I am not individual, and I am not contingent in the same way that I do.
Yeah.
But
that's your special pleading. You're saying maybe there's some reality out there that's just totally different. We don't know anything about it, but who knows? Maybe it could be. I'm saying let's deal with the world in which we live right now. Let's use our senses and let's use our minds, and we'll apply that to the experience that we have right now.
Think about this is all relative to the human experience. There's nothing objective about it.
Well, there is. There must be something objective. Otherwise, nothing would be. You cannot have.
That doesn't make any sense.
If you would watch a little R.C. Sproul, you might learn
I watched
something.
R.C. Sproul. I have.
And what do you think of him?
I think the guy is so into being Christian that no matter what happens, no, I mean, it's true.
No, it's not. You've not demonstrated. You've not refuted anything.
No matter what happens, he will be on the same side you are, which is there is a God, and I'm going to use you start with your conclusion.
No, you don't. He has never committed the partitio principii fallacy, and you know it.
Start with your conclusion.
You're the one that starts with your conclusion. You say existence is, and therefore it is. In other words, you just say, I accept it without any justification. It's the beginning, it's the middle, it's the end, and you don't give a logical, I give a rational argument. I have a syllogism, contingency. Contingency requires self-existence. Therefore, self-existence is.
Okay, all of contingency is self-existent.
No, you're violating the law of identity. Contingency is not self-existent.
No, I'm not.
You're saying everything that's dependent is not dependent. That's what you just said.
No, I'm saying that how the inside of a system acts is not the same attribute that has to apply to the entire system itself.
That doesn't matter.
It's a fallacy.
What you're saying is if you put a whole bunch of contingencies together, somehow they don't happen anymore. They were always existing. What is that? That's ridiculous.
No, as a whole.
That's what I'm saying. You can't take a whole bunch of contingencies and suddenly when you get to 30 million or something, they all of a sudden they existed all the time. That's ridiculous.
I never said that. What does that even mean?
You're saying that the whole is different than the particular. But if the particulars are contingent, the particulars will never make themselves eternal because they're happening.
They're happening inside. They appear to be happening even. I mean, because we experience time in a linear fashion.
Indeed, we do. And so if something happens, it's not self-existent. So now you're saying reality is.
So if God sits out of time and is not experiencing things through linear time, is this actually happening, or is it?
Well, you have to tell us what time is. What is time outside of matter relating to motion? And matter is contingent.
I mean, there's a couple different theories of time. I can't pretend to unlock the secrets right now of what time.
Well, you better get on it.
Why?
That's what we're arguing.
No, we're not. We're arguing about Sweet Cakes by Melissa.
Well, yeah, we are. And now we've gone off into your favorite topic.
Well, you know, it's not my favorite necessarily
with me,
you,
anyway.
But yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to talk about having a problem with the axiom existence is, I mean, that's fine. But I mean, I have no reason to think that that God provides any more of a justification than me just saying existence is. I mean, you literally just say God is, and then all of
I
a sudden,
never, ever say that. I always say that you are, or me as the inquirer is.
and because
That's where I start. I have to start. I can't start with your mind. I can't start with God's mind. I can't start with anybody else's mind. I got to start with my mind and my experience, my empirical. I know that I exist.
Well, I don't even go that far. That's what I'm saying. When you say, I think, therefore I am, I think that's already making assumptions that I'm not comfortable with as far as having a logical base for things.
Yeah, but those assumptions that you say you deny are assumptions that you make in every moment of every day of your life. In other words, you inconsistently cut yourself off from those.
No, no. There's practical everyday things that I do based on the language I am, and that's fine. But if I'm looking for a logical, rational foundation, I can't assume I think, therefore I am, because I've already assumed I in the beginning before I proved it.
Well, you have to assume the I because you're the one making the inquiry, right?
I don't. All I have to do is assume existence is.
But in order to know that, who's perceiving that?
Know what? I mean,
who is perceiving that existence is?
Something is. I can refer.
And who would that be?
It's useful.
The person who's questioning it, right?
Useful in everyday language for me to consider myself I. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
So you start epistemologically with Justin.
No, I don't. My view on epistemology is completely different than yours. First of all,
it's nonsense. But
no, it's pragmatic.
Yeah, pragmatism is child's play.
No, it's not. It's actually a relatively new philosophy.
No, it's new. It's new, and it's nothing new really. It's the same. Your Heraclitus is your father. Everything is becoming. There's no being to anything, and if everything is complete being or becoming, there is no being. There is nothing. Everything's an illusion. It's nothing. But you don't hold to that because you're inconsistent.
Okay. It's inconsistent with what you feel. Sure.
Not what I feel. What I reason.
Well, you feel that you reason it, but you don't. Just because you feel something is completely rational for you does not mean that it works out in everybody else's head just the same.
Well, I think so. I think that when you give me the two precepts, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is the basis for what pragmatism addresses even. It explains why you think you're rational and I think I'm rational. You have no way to even begin to think about it that way. You think if you are not thinking like I am, then you are irrational because whatever's going on inside my head is rational. But
yeah, didn't we agree to the two foundations?
But everybody feels that way.
Yeah, but do you understand that you already agreed to my foundation of law of non-contradiction and sense perception?
I pragmatically justify the law of non-contradiction. You have no justification for it. You just start with it as an axiom.
I asked you epistemologically if I can have that axiom.
Okay, you can have it if you want to, if it makes you feel good.
Okay, and how do you know, this is funny, how do you know that existence is without employing the law of non-contradiction?
Because what else do I have?
That's right, exactly. So you do the same thing I do, you just deny it because you want to try to get out.
No. I do it because it's useful, because what else?
That's right. And that's pragmatism. You are appealing to the relationship of you're saying that existence is as a coherent statement about reality that is defined by the law of non-contradiction, right? You're saying it's rationally coherent, right?
I haven't gotten to the law of non-contradiction yet.
Yes, you do. You don't admit it, but that's what you have to employ in order to say that existence is.
Existence is? There's something is going on?
Yeah, that's what you said you start with, right?
Yeah, I mean, I start with existence is.
Okay, but you are employing logic.
But
the reason not do it.
The reason I do that is because it is pragmatic for me to do so. It's the same reason you.
That's right. But see, what you're doing is you're saying you're starting over here, but you're starting really in the same place that I'm starting at.
So you don't like pragmatism, but you just said that the reason you do it is because how could you not? Because it provides utility.
Right. So what you're doing is you're in a sense you're saying the final cause is pragma or utility, but you're denying the instrument of logic in order to come to that conclusion.
No. How do you justify logic?
You must have it in order to inquire.
So it's useful?
It is an instrument that, yes, it is useful. So and I learned that, right, by employing it, right?
No.
Every inquiry you've got to employ it.
Wait, you learned that logic was right by employing logic?
You have to. You have to. It's assumed within us.
Or what? What
Or
happens?
else you have.
What happens if you don't?
That's it. There must be a relationship with the subject to the predicate.
So it doesn't work.
You're really scrambling here.
No, I'm not scrambling. This is for real. Think about it, man. What happens if you start speaking a language that I don't understand?
That language, if I am being coherent in that other language, I am still have a relationship with the subject to the predicate exactly the same way. We all do. We have to. That's the only way to understand anything.
But if you say it to me, I don't have that understanding. So therefore, it's not useful.
Yes, you do. You have it, but the instrument of the language is different. But the employment of the law of non-contradiction is exactly the same.
So once again, how do you justify the law of non-contradiction?
I have to accept it. In other words, and if there's going to be any inquiry and sense perception, those two things. Remember, that's what I've got to start with. And you grant them.
Or I mean, not in the way you do. I have a justification for them.
No, you don't.
Sure, I do.
You employ it in order to say a conclusion. You're kind of like the presuppers. The presuppositional say God exists. I have a justification and you don't. But they do the same thing.
I'm not making an ontological claim like that. I'm not saying.
You're saying existence is, right?
Yeah, on pragmatic
grounds. Claim?
Because where else do we go from there?
Right. You got to start with sense perception. But you got to start with ontology, right?
But why? Because it's useful to do so, not for any other reason. That's the end of the line as far as I'm concerned.
It's the end of the line, but it's not the beginning. So you're jumping ahead and you're saying,
you can't have any other justification besides the fact that it is useful for you for a specific thing.
And I completely agree with that, but that's not where you're starting, and that's not where I'm starting.
Welcome to pragmatism, Trey.
But pragmatism denies rational coherence.
No, it doesn't.
It is all about existence rather than being. In other words, it says we are dealing with the contingency of the now and not asking questions about the ultimate. It's not new. Again, it's just.
I mean, William James was just fine with religion and spirituality. There's plenty of religious pragmatists. I mean, doesn't deny anything.
But it doesn't make any statements about truth regarding religion, does it? It puts religion on the level, as Francis Schaeffer said, the upper story of feeling.
It actually addresses why different people accept different religions with the same certainty. Like I've said it before, your certainty about what's going on is very interesting to me, because I don't see it's hard for me to empathize with someone who has so much certainty, because I've been impressed by different languages in the past and I have changed my views, and now I look back, I'm like, oh, that was really weird that I thought that, but at the time it seemed completely reasonable. Yeah. And I expect that there's nothing about the way I think right now that can quell my fear of me one day going, oh, wait a minute, what was I thinking? So there's nothing about my current language that can make me go, well, this is it. This is the final one.
Well, me too. Have I ever told you, Justin, that I could be wrong?
I think so, yeah.
All the time. I say it all the time, but you got to demonstrate it.
Not all the time. You've said it a few times.
You know what? I haven't said it lately as much, but I used to say it a lot.
I've heard you say it.
And it's not because I think I'm more sure now than I do feel like, I do feel confident in the views that I have, but it is not possible to have absolute certainty as a contingent. Contingency necessarily must live by faith. All of us have to, because we don't know everything. We are changing all the time. My faith could change. My faith, you said, you believe something, you look back and you think, oh man, why did I believe that? I too, man, all the time, I'm always learning new stuff. I'm always coming into new understandings of things. And I could be completely wrong about everything I say about God and Christian faith, but it's got to have a reason for it. You got to demonstrate it to me. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that is the problem. That's the problem we all deal with.
Now, most religious people are very confident. They say, no, I cannot doubt that. And I disagree with them. And I agree with you on that. I think that if God really does exist, he's big enough to not wear diapers.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are the Bible in some places would seem to suggest that you need to believe no matter what. The first thing you do is you believe in God, and then you put your trust in that, and that's going to be fine. So don't let anybody sway you from that.
Right. But the question is, which God? How do you know? And that's my point.
Yeah.
Somebody gives you a Quran and somebody gives you a Bible and says, okay, I'm supposed to presuppose one of these. Which one do I presuppose? And you
Yeah.
look at the evidence, and you say, okay, this is
Well,
which one makes sense.
people find it useful for them for different reasons. I think, I mean, that's my view. That's the only rational explanation that I can come up with.
But don't you think that which is useful
why,
should have a coherent view? Like you got some people, that think that, casting spells with lizards, you find that useful to them. But wouldn't you rather they stop doing that and they live and go to the doctor, or have an empirical
I do, because I don't think it's as useful as they think it does.
Right.
They think it is, but
so there is a reality that we should all
to
be
them,
finding, right?
There is a rationale inside their head that's making them go, no, I've seen it work before, and it's going to work now. So
there's something wrong with it. Right?
In their case, it's psychologically useful to them. It's like, man, I forget. There was a certain circumstance. Forget what the guy's name was, but Bateson. I think Gregory Bateson was an anthropologist and a philosopher of sorts, and was writing something. And he's like, long time ago, people used to think that spirits would like collect on their hands or something like that and cause disease. So they ended up washing their hands a lot to get rid of it. They were wrong, but it worked.
Yeah, but it worked.
But it worked, So for you to go up and be like, well, that's not right, and they're like, oh man, it's right. We have had way less diseases.
Do you understand though? You're assenting to the fact that there's an objective reality.
I'm fine with
about washing off germs healed you. So there's this reality outside of your mind that exists, and we need to discover it. Do you agree with that?
I like to look for it. Yeah.
So there's an objective reality. You're saying it now.
I've always said there's an objective reality. I believe
I thought you said nothing can be objective.
The statements about reality are a different story than reality.
So there is an objective reality that exists outside of your mind.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And so, for example, 2 + 2 = 4 is an objective reality. It governs this universe. It's just the way things work. And if you try to build a house by 2 + 2 = 3, you're going to get a lot of trouble.
Well, if you try and build a house, I mean, I don't know what goes on the quantum level. I've read books on it and stuff, but I'm not well versed enough. I mean, I probably have to go through 8 or 12 years of school to even understand. Like I understand that the sum of an infinite series is 2. Isn't that weird? That seems counterintuitive, right? The sum of an infinite series in mathematics is 2.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
But the thing is you're special pleading there, though. You're saying, yeah, there's all this stuff that I don't know about, therefore I can't live in the world in which I live. Now there can be more understanding. We can broaden our horizons on mathematics and what it is, but there is an objective mathematical reality. You just said the sum of all infinite numbers is 2. No, that's an objective reality.
It's a useful language to use, apparently.
Well, the language is useful, but the reality exists, right? And the language is useful to discovering the objective reality, right?
No, it's contextual. The math doesn't exist outside of our minds.
Yes, but our minds are not constructing the math, right?
Of course it's constructing the math.
Oh, so we all have this exact same existence of constructing the math. The law of non-contradiction is not something I make up every time I make a statement. It is a reality of this objective world that governs it.
No, it's useful in the context of human language.
Right, and it's always useful, right?
To most people in everyday speech, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
But in most contexts, in most like everyday stuff, everyday communication, doesn't make sense to say something is and is not at the same time in the same relationship. It's just not useful to do that.
Right.
But there are people who have found uses that they call true contradictions and stuff like that. I mean, there are people who delve into this stuff.
Yeah, there are people that find, I mean, you're like this. I mean, you know that. I mean, they may be really smart, but they've kind of lost a few marbles and they're not really useful for anything. Show me what kind of great discoveries they're employing by saying that everything is rationally incoherent, because they're seeking for coherence, right?
No, they don't say that everything is rationally incoherent. They actually just say that there are some statements that are true and its negation are also true contradictions.
Not at the same time in the same relationship, though.
I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know too much about it. I just started trying to. I mean, I've got a lot of other things.
There's a lot of rubbish out there.
I've got a lot of other things. I understand that. you know me, I'm a skeptic, man. I look out for rubbish. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not quick to jump on the train. I want to know. I want to go in and like research about it. Who said what? When can it be applied? How is it useful?
Hmm.
You know, why do people believe it? That's
Hmm.
that's the most important question to me is why, when presented with the same reality, do people come to such different conclusions?
Right. Yeah.
That's a more important question to me than why does reality exist?
Well, and but what, like I said, what you do is
Because
you
until I get that, until I understand that, how do I even hope to grasp onto one thing to even figure out the other question?
law of non-contradiction.
Until I understand my own motives for wanting to know things and why I think I know something as opposed to the other guy like you who says one thing that I don't agree with. Like why do I sit here and look around and be like, why am I not convinced of this thing that seems like obvious mythology to me? Always has. I've looked into it. I probably know a good bit about religions and stuff like that compared to most average people. And I've never been able to find any real difference between Christian dogma and the dogma of any other religion, including Greek and Roman mythology. Now, I understand there are differences in the dogma, but as far as looking at it like mythology, I've never ever once in my life been able to entertain it any more seriously.
Yeah, but that's not because you have reason to do so. As been evidenced in
Sure, it is.
all of
It
our
is.
discussions, Justin, have always been, I can't answer you, Trey, but I just don't want to believe it.
That's not. I've never said that. You cannot.
Every single time we get together, I say, give me a justification for contingent existence without the agency of self-existence. And you basically say, oh, well, I never
No,
said there wasn't such a thing as.
no. All I've ever said is that the most parsimonious response I can give is that existence is that
But it's contingent. And see,
no
this is the thing that's
no
funny. We go over and over this.
that everything that exists
Yes. Yes. And does it happen?
it is useful to talk about it as happening because we experience time in a linear
Okay,
fashion.
great.
So
So
that does
happen. How
now
does it come into existence?
is stuff happening inside the universe, or can we take a step out and look at the entire universe as a whole?
You could step outside and look at the entire universe as a whole, and again, if all of the participants within that universe are contingent, it somehow does not become self-existent.
How
Again, you're violating the law of identity.
how can we get that view? Do you have a way to get that view
Yes.
of the entire universe?
Yes, it's employing the law of non-contradiction, which is law of identity. They're very similar in that sense.
No, I'm talking about we have no way to experience
You're special pleading now.
the entirety of the universe, right?
Well, we know though that they're not the same thing. We know that self-existence, that which happens, is not something that does not happen. That's the problem. You're trying to say happening and non-happening are the same thing. They're not. That's like saying plus and minus are the same thing. I just said
to our experience, to our human experience, we
Yeah,
experience.
but that's all we've got, Justin. Remember, sense perception. That's
I understand that's all we have, and I address the limitations of that, while you think that we can discover the secrets of the universe.
No. I understand that our senses fool us all the time. That's why science is always changing. That's why all of us are changing in all of our views all the time. But what I'm saying is that we cannot say there might be some reality that we know nothing about in order to deny what we already know to be actual truth. You know what I'm saying? You can't special plead parsimony. We've got to
parsimony. I'm not adding a deity.
Then how do you justify yourself?
By saying existence is. If I was going to say anything self-existed, it would be the entirety of everything.
And you say you're open-minded. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, do I say that?
Yeah, you just said that. You said I'm one of the most opening men. I've looked at all the religions, and they're all exactly the same. Essentially, what you said.
No. I never said I'm open-minded. I've looked at all the religions, and they're all exactly the same. You can go back.
Okay, what do you say? What were you saying then?
I'm just saying I have studied religions, and probably more than the average person, and I cannot see any any difference as far as me not considering it mythology and me going, oh, well, Christianity seems like not mythology, and Greek and Roman mythology
Okay.
are definitely mythology.
Well,
That's just
you said you studied them. How can you not know
own.
that the Greeks and the Romans did not consider it to be hard history? They never considered that.
I don't know.
Hebrews consider theirs to be absolutely wooden history. That's why the first 9 chapters of First Chronicles is nothing but genealogy.
Mhm.
It's completely different.
That's
completely different historiography, and yet you say you studied these things.
I mean, that's fine.
To say that mythology is the same as Christianity is silly.
I do believe Christianity is mythology. Yes.
Whatever.
I mean, that's okay. That's okay for me to do, right?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just saying you're not justified.
I believe I am justified. I feel like,
I feel that way.
That is well, you also feel certain ways too. I mean, I think you're quick to separate, like over here we have emotion and over here we have facts and truth. And you think there's like some divide in between them. You think that you can separate yourself from finding what is useful and what you feel like, oh, you know what? This is like something I experience and something I really feel, and I've seen how useful it is. And over here are the cold hard facts, and never the twain shall meet.
I never said that.
Like they're separated somehow. Well, you try to.
Well, they're not the same thing. Do you agree with that? I mean, you're the one that says that fact and value is the same.
Well, they've become a dichotomy that seems like two sides of the same coin. There's no.
So there's a distinction.
Well, we have made what I believe is a false distinction between them. I think that we have tried to make it like your beliefs and your feelings about it are have nothing to do with the cold hard facts. But the reason
I never said that.
No, I'm saying this is what we've done through philosophy. This has happened a lot.
Like
like
who?
I don't like the is-ought distinction, for instance.
Okay, the is-ought distinction does not say that, though, that there's no emotion involved in discerning something to be correct or incorrect in that sense. Nobody said that emotion is completely detached from logic.
I'm just saying we're creating. Okay, so it's not. So you can't. So can you have emotional reasons for your logic?
Emotion is not reason. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying our emotions can interact with our reason, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
You don't think that there's predispositions that you have emotionally that factor into
That's why we've always got to be testing ourselves.
How you reason things.
Yeah.
But you're saying there is such a thing as pure reason, completely devoid of emotion.
No, I'm saying that reason and emotion are not the same things. And to say something is reasonable is not to say it's purely emotional. That's what you're kind of
to say something. When you say something, when you call me irrational, what I hear from that is that you are saying it's basically a way of patting yourself on the back and saying, I have the truth, you don't have the truth.
I'm saying that I give a justification for it and you give none and say, well, it's okay because I'm emotional.
No, you give a justification that is good for you. I have justification that is perfectly sufficient for me.
Yeah, but remember, you said that there's an objective reality that exists, and we can live in a way that corresponds to it, or we can live in a way that doesn't correspond to it.
I never said that. I never said we could live in a way that corresponds to it or doesn't correspond to it.
So to build a house and 2 + 2 is 3 has no bearing on this objective reality in a way that affects us.
I mean, not with the current definitions of how we understand 2 and 3, but if we just use those symbols to represent something else.
The way that they're commonly understood in our society, if you take 2 and 3 and give them the same values that everybody gives in our society and you try to build a house, that objective reality of a house will be a mess, right?
Yes, math works. That's why. Okay. Yes, no, math works.
So there's an objective reality that we need to correspond to, right?
There's a justification in its utility. Not in its
the utility, though, is utility. The idea, this is what I think Aristotle came up with. Idea corresponds with the thing. Locke is the one who came with correspondence theory, but really Aristotle had it. He said that the reality, or correspondence to reality, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the idea and make it correspond to the thing that's on the outside of us.
Yeah, we're trying to find a way to have useful language, yeah.
Useful to the objective world in which we live.
Useful to our subjective experience.
Sure.
Not to the objective
reality.
Useful, we have no access to the objective reality.
But there is a usefulness that leads to existence, and there's a usefulness that goes, if you want to call it that does not lead to existence. Do you agree with that? Like jumping off a cliff. You die if you jump off a cliff.
Most people will die. There are circumstances where it doesn't happen like that.
Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying as a truism.
Uh, it is a useful language to say, if you jump off this cliff, you will die.
Right. So there's an objective reality, and good, useful language leads to existence, right?
Leads to existence? It can. Yeah, it can. Yeah.
Well, that's what you want. I mean,
I
when
mean,
you say something's useful, you're saying it
no, I'm
furthers
saying
existence.
no. I'm not. I'm saying it can be useful for any variety of any circumstances. I mean, some things are useful for building houses. Some things are useful for making cakes. Some things are
Right.
useful for just maintaining, a good psychological state.
Right.
Some things,
Existence.
some
It
things,
all promotes existence.
some things are useful for killing yourself.
But the reason you should kill yourself is because you're either infirmed or you gave up, right? There's something wrong with you in the head, or you gave up on existence. You say there's no more hope, right?
I don't know. There's lots of different reasons why people may or may not commit
I'm saying
suicide.
from your perspective, remember, it's all about what's in your head.
Is it? I mean, no. It's all about what's in everybody's head and how we communicate together in the context in which we do so.
For the goal of existence.
For whatever goal you decide is good.
If somebody doesn't promote existence, you want to put them in jail.
What?
If somebody goes out and murders people, what do you think should be done to
No,
them?
we should stop them. If a rock if a rock falls on somebody's head and kills it, we should make sure no other rocks are going to also fall on
That's
somebody's head and kill them. Yeah.
We should promote existence.
Yeah, I like existence. I'm currently in it.
Yeah.
But why? Well, why would you accept that? Because I just like existence.
Yeah, but there's
just emoting everything is just
okay. But you say that people who do not value existence should be stopped. There's something wrong with them.
Yeah, because that's only because most people value existence.
That's right. So
if most people did not value existence, then we wouldn't be here having the discussion.
Yeah. And so my question to you is, why is it? Why is it so important to you when it's really meaningless?
What do you mean it's meaningless?
Existence. There's no real meaning to life.
What do you mean real meaning?
Have a feeling to it.
Me valuing something is real.
Right. And where'd that come from?
What do you mean, where did it come from? It came from I subjectively value it, and therefore it has meaning. There is no meaning besides that.
Okay, so there was purposelessness, and then there's purposefulness. What changed to give purposelessness the ability to value?
Language.
So language is the efficient cause.
No, it's the way we talk about it. It's the way we talk about it. We could, to me.
Yeah, but the language is just an instrument. It's not the actual valuing it itself. The efficiency of it are not language. You're not language, Justin.
To me, it's all empty boats. It's all
empty boats that value existence, right?
Well, if I could say that that the expenditure of energy to reach homeostasis is probably the closest thing I've ever seen to a goal. And staying alive and existing helps promote the use of energy and homeostasis within the universe.
Right. So it's teleological. It's purpose. There's purpose in the universe.
Is that purpose? Is that purpose in the way
you just said? It's homeostasis. That's what we're searching for.
That's not
energy
necessarily purpose.
Efficiently.
That's just things happening. There's no real meaning. There's no.
Are you purposing to say that statement right there?
Not in the way you mean it. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think
that there's teleology to your statement right there, right? In explaining the existence.
Do I agree?
Uh-oh. I think your sound went out. Is that me? Oh, there it is. It's back. Somehow your sound went out.
You got me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Must have been my jack there.
Oh.
No, I don't think I believe it in the same way you do. I don't think I give ourselves the same kind of like I wouldn't even know how to coherently talk about it. I wouldn't even know what it would mean. I mean, you're talking about free will. You're talking about all this other stuff that I don't even know a coherent definition of in order to be able to say, like when I value something, it's something like special and magical to you. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's not really any different. Like, let's say we were talking about the morality thing. One thing you like to talk about is is, well, why? How can we hold anybody responsible if there's no free will, right? Mm-hmm. That's like a big argument, right?
Right.
So how can we do it? Why would we do it? Why would we stop a rock from falling on somebody's head?
Well, a rock is not you.
Right, a rock is a rock.
Yeah, but we're not talking about rocks. We're talking about people.
I know. What I'm saying is
you're saying a person is like a rock, but then then we have a justification, or we have some kind of moral imperative to stop rocks from falling or something, as if we were rocks, but we're not rocks.
Right. What I'm saying is that we would move the rock out of the way so it wouldn't fall on somebody's head, right?
Right.
So in the same way,
but we're choosing. There's somebody choosing that, right? It's not just chemical. If everything is just matter in motion and it's determined, then how do you complain when somebody kills somebody else? That's just the way they were made. That's the way their cells are going.
Sure.
And so you're getting upset is a testimony to there's something else other than there's somebody inside there who's making that choice, because you can throw them in jail. You can I got a speeding ticket the other day. I'm driving slower now. And it had an effect on me.
You know? Yeah.
And I'm driving slower.
Yeah, it's a deterrent. Yeah.
Right.
Because we understand what happens when you drive cars too fast and people get in car accidents and people die. Right.
So there's somebody in there making choices and making changes.
And we don't like that, right?
Right.
So it's just emotional.
No, it's rational.
No, it's emotional.
You're using your mind.
It's emotional at its base, right? We don't like it. So
we as a person are discerning something that leads to non-existence, and then we emotionally say, I don't like that. So it's rational.
Well, we don't like, negative conscious experience, right?
Right, but that's after we reason it to be harmful. We're passible. That's one of my favorite words, passible. Passibility is motions of the soul worked out through the body in perceived reaction to either good or evil. Mm-hmm. God is impassioned, is without
impassible.
Passion, impassible, without body passions, without passion, without.
We almost got in a discussion about this recently, didn't we? About the impassibility of God. I kind of asked you where you stood on it.
I can't remember. In November, there's going to be a really good one at the Southern Baptist Pastors Conference. They're going to have James Dolezal. He's the best. He's really good.
Right on.
Should be good.
Should we talk about the sweet cakes thing again before we do this?
I don't know. I need to go. I want to go home and eat.
I feel like it's kind of the end. I just ate, so I'm good to go. But cool. We kind of deviated. I feel like we got a little discussion in the beginning about it, though. I mean, probably our main points, huh?
I guess. No. I mean, we didn't really talk about it much, but I mean, you wanted to do an ontological discussion anyway. We're always going in that direction.
I wish we would have had defined one topic though and stuck to it if we were going to go straight to that. But that's okay. I mean, it was just a more of a casual discussion. That's fine. No big deal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to give a plug for your band or something? Or Justin is a musician, and he's a part of a band called Stokeswood.
That's true. That's true.
And he just got back from touring in Florida, and
we have an album
out. A new album. Is it
called 2075?
Yeah.
Little futuristic EP, and Trey makes teeth. Mm-hmm. Look at him, beautiful teeth. You did your own teeth?
No. I made a crown or two of myself.
Hey, look at this.
They're beautiful. Are they?
No braces, nothing ever. Actually, absolutely.
You always have straight teeth.
Absolutely natural.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I had braces in there crooked again.
Oh, mine. So. I got a little something happening. I'll have to talk to you one day. I'm 35 years old and have never had one cavity in my entire life.
Wow. Fortunate are you. I wish I could be like you then.
I got something genetically did me right on this. So
yeah, my dad was like that too. Okay, right, Justin. Man. Well, I'll let you go. And thanks for entertaining me with this dialogue, and we will continue in the future.
Absolutely, my friend.
Okay, we'll see you.
See you, man.